UFC 290 went down last night, and the event delivered from start to finish. There's a lot to digest from a night of great fights at UFC 290, which took place Saturday at T-Mobile Arena, in Las Vegas, Nevada. This card for sure is going to be in the talks as one of the greatest cards in the history of the promotion. Not only for being a stacked card, but also for the quality of the fights, and the card happening during the promotion's latest International Fight Week. The king of the featherweight division, Alexander Volkanovski, defeated Yair Rodriguez via TKO in the third round of the main event. Volkanovski one more time solidified himself as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC right now, defending his featherweight title at UFC 290. With his dominant performance against Rodriguez, the question soon became, who is next for Volk in the featherweight division? Volkanovski didn't discard a potential matchup with Ilia Topuria, and the fighters faced off as the champion exited the octagon after defending his belt against Rodriguez. The fighters exchanged some words, and the champion said to the media he sees it as an easy payday. Topuria is coming off a 5-round beatdown of Josh Emmett, and solidified himself as next in line for a crack at the featherweight belt, as the champion needs new contenders in this division. Volkanovski also mentioned he wants to run it back with Islam Makhachev to try becoming a 2-division champ. It's a fight many felt he won, only to lose the fight, leaving the decision in the hands of the judges. What do you think? Should Volkanovski keep defending his belt at featherweight, and solidify himself as the pound-for-pound best of the division? Or should he try his rematch against Makhachev, and go for the champ-champ status? Alexander Pantoja became the new flyweight champion in the co-main event of UFC 290. It was a hard-fought split decision over Brandon Moreno in a potential Fight of the Year candidate. For 5 rounds, these two fighters unleashed hell on each other before finally making it to the end of 25 minutes. The scorecards could have easily gone either way, but 2 judges gave the fight to Pantoja 48-47, and the third judge scored 49-46 for Moreno. UFC President Dana White announced the UFC co-headliners earned Fight of the Night honors, and will each take home an additional $50,000 for their fight. Should Brandon Moreno get an immediate rematch? Or should the new champion fight new contenders before fighting Moreno again? With a second-round TKO of former champion Robert Whittaker, Dricus du Plessis set up a possible UFC middleweight title fight against champion Israel Adesanya. After du Plessis shocked the world with the stoppage, middleweight champion Israel Adesanya entered the cage for a face-off with the top middleweight contender. The two fighters met in the middle of the octagon and exchanged some heated words about who is the real African fighter. This argument started after du Plessis said in an interview he is the real African fighter because he still lives in South Africa, whereas Adesanya has spent the majority of his life living in New Zealand despite his Nigerian heritage. Dricus du Plessis, despite being a plus 350 underdog in his fight with Robert Whittaker, was able to prove the bookies wrong once again, and also win Performance of the Night bonus with his second-round finish of the former champ. What do you think? Should du Plessis get the next shot at champion Israel Adesanya, or Sean Strickland's win over Abus Magomedov was enough for Sean to be next in line? Jalen Turner vs. Dan Hooker was a 3-round war in a Fight of the Night candidate at UFC 290. Jalen Turner came hot in the first round of the fight, looking to rebound from a loss to Mateusz Gamrot in March. Turner was over the lightweight limit, coming in at 158 pounds to this fight. And it looked like he was running out of gas in the second round, maybe because of a rough weight cut. Although the fight couldn't have been closer, it was Hooker who had his hand raised in the end. After a bloody split decision, 2 judges gave him the fight 29-28, and 1 judge handing it to Turner 28-29. During the fight, it looked like something was wrong with Hooker's right arm. The fighter wasn't throwing or protecting himself too much with that arm. The suspicion of a broken bone appeared confirmed by an X-ray he posted on social media, following his win over Jalen Turner. Hooker is now on a 2-fight win streak, while Turner is now on a 2-fight skid. Who do you think these fighters should face next? Bo Nickal might have the credentials to be considered the best wrestler currently competing in the UFC. The fighter didn't need to use a single takedown to finish Val Woodburn at UFC 290. Woodburn was offered to fight Nickal on short notice, after Tresean Gore pulled out of the fight due to injury. Bo Nickal became a massive favorite against the new replacement, the biggest favorite in the history of the promotion. He opened up as a plus 2,500 favorite. Right from the beginning of the fight, Woodburn was throwing bombs with bad intentions. But was Bo Nickel who clipped him, sending Woodburn to the canvas, and that was the beginning of the end of the fight. The end came at just 38 seconds in the first round, with the referee rushing in to stop the bout before any further damage. Here are some comments from other fighters after Nickel's fast finish. Nickel now is 5-0 in his professional career. Undefeated, with 5 first-round finishes. Do you want to see Nickel fight tougher competition next? Someone at the top 15, at the middleweight division? Or should the UFC build this fighter up slowly? Robbie Lawler scores vicious 38-second knockout in his retirement fight against Nico Price. The former welterweight champion delivered a devastating combo of punches that felt reminiscent of so many of his iconic performances in his MMA career. Not even UFC writers couldn't have written a better ending to Lawler's MMA career. Following his quick finish over Price, the UFC played a highlight reel video of Lawler's career. Best known for not showing too much emotion, the fighter was fighting back the tears as he watched with Joe Rogan many of his biggest moments on the big screen. During UFC International Fight Week, Lawler was also induced to the UFC Hall of Fame for his epic UFC 189 title fight against Rory MacDonald. It's rare that MMA veterans go out on a brilliant performance like that. Most of them prolong their careers for too long. Especially if they had a win, and it's hard for them to know when to stop. Even UFC superstar Conor McGregor went on social media to say Lawler will be back by the end of the year, despite Lawler announcing his retirement. Lawler couldn't help but laugh at McGregor's message to him on social media. But the fighter assured his bout with Price was the last one of his career. Lawler's career ends with 30 wins, 16 losses, and 1 no contest, including 22 knockouts, and title reigns in the UFC, Elite XC, Icon Sport and Super Brawl promotions.